And we are back with Lisa Waterslane in the studio. She comes each week with your garden questions. Just what are your neighbors talking about? And we're here just to share some of those insights. So welcome to the studio, Lisa.
Thank you.
We could go to a garden question, see what
Oh, we
people are talking locally, because it's always good to come home.
Yes.
And we didn't lose that many plants. We
we
always
lost
think part of
anything.
traveling is we will lose some plants, but we didn't.
No.
Didn't it was they were better when we got
They
back.
were.
We picked our first tomato when we got back.
It's pretty exciting.
It is.
To
It
actually
is
get
exciting.
tomatoes
Yeah.
this year. Well, questions. Our first question is from Amy in Prescott. She wants to know what is causing all the holes in her hostas and heucheras.
Ooh.
She's looked around for snails but didn't see any.
Well, Amy, you might have slugs. So snails and slugs are what cause holes in hostas. That's the most classic. I would say, no doubt, come into the garden center, get a bottle of snail bait, snail and slug bait. We've got one that's snail and slug and some other things. So like roly-polies, earwigs. There's several things that can cause that. Two of the most misunderstood types of insects are snail and slugs and grasshoppers. They both put holes in leaves. Grasshoppers are typically in more sunny type of plants like sage, that kind of thing. Your herb gardens, they'll eat holes, but you don't see them. They're down underneath the foliage.
Right.
Snails and slugs, you don't see them because they're underneath the foliage, and they come out at night because they're bird bait, basically. They don't want to come out when the birds are out. They're coming out when no one's there. And so you typically don't see the damage, but almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And you can't let it go. Get on it, because they'll destroy. I mean, they can destroy plants, make them look terrible. So get on it. In the monsoon season, one snail can lay 1,000 eggs.
Oh my goodness.
So they go from one or two to, oh my gosh, where'd they all come from overnight because of one slug, one snail. They're terrible.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
That's it. Yep.
Wow. Keep an eye out for those fuckers.
Even my lovely assistant learns something every time she's on the radio with her favorite guy. Did I help you with that?
Sure.
Hint.
So just a PSA. We had a customer come in today. It's the first ones I've seen of the season, but Blister Beetle.
Oh, really? They're early.
Yeah.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for those. They're little gray. Sometimes they're gray speckled, but boy, can they defoliate a tree, a shrub, your garden almost instantly.
I wondered, because there's a symbiotic relationship between blister beetles and grasshoppers.
Really?
And I haven't seen as many grasshoppers. What happens, what I hear when I talk to the bug gurus, that blister beetles need grasshopper eggs to kind of feed off when they're in the larva stage. And there's this, when there's a lot of grasshoppers one year, typically the following year, the blister beetles are worse. So there's kind of this hem and haw, feng shui. Yeah, that whole thing between those two insects. So I haven't seen that. I've seen some grasshoppers, but not like the ground is moving. But it's early for blister. I wonder if, and this is a swarm, a cloud, like biblical proportions, like in the Old Testament, clouds darken the sky and they land on your garden and they strip it clean. There's like 1,000 beetles, and and then they leave. So you kind of got to be ready for them. You don't want to wait on that one, because they'll strip it down in 2 hours. They'll strip out
instantly.
Yep.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for them. If you see them, you want to take care of them right away.
But you heard it here first. Pestilence is coming. No, not at all.
Enjoy.
Okay, the show's out. We're out.
Well, let's talk about Charlie. He's in Chino. Last year, he had tons of peaches and cherries, did very well. This year, there's nothing.
Yeah,
and he wants to know, did he do something wrong, or what happened?
Charlie, you did not do anything wrong. It's just that frost. The fruit trees were budding out, and they were actually in bloom. Some of them had fruited. So some of your plums and apricots, nectarines, they'd actually fruited. And then that frost came kind of in April, whenever that last frost, it was brutal. Remember, we were discussing, should we send a frost warning out to our core customers? Should we let them know? Should we warn people? I said no. And it's like borderline. It's not, we don't want to cry wolf. And you're going, no, it's better to let people know than not to let them go, okay, let it go. And then it was 19 degrees of some ridiculous cold. And that's what took the frost. That the frost or that freeze took your peaches. And so if it was in bloom, it would freeze those flowers off, and then you wouldn't get a set of fruit. If it had miniature fruits on it, it would freeze that fruit, and then it would wither up and drop off. So it's kind of like take a nice plum and put it in the freezer, let it freeze solid, bring it back out. What does it turn into? Mush. And so that's what happened on your tree. It turned all the blossoms and those fruits to mush. And Charlie, you're not the only one.
Oh, no.
All across the county. I mean, on both sides of the hill, Cottonwood, Camp Verde, Sedona, up the Scottsdale, Skull Valley, Kirkland, all the way up to Prescott Valley, Chino. They all got frosted pretty hard. It was brutal, and that's what got it. It should be a beautiful tree.
Right.
Just enjoy it as a shade tree this year, because you ain't gonna get no fruit.
You're not gonna be
this year
or making peach cobbler this year.
So that's it for this segment, folks. We'll be right back. You are tuned into The Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa Lane.